Welcome back to the REI Marketing Weekly. It's your host, Josh Culler with Culler Media and REI.video. And I know I'm always excited about the guests that we have on the show, but guys, this is one of my favorite people on planet Earth that's on the show right now. Like literally, if you know who this guy is, you know exactly what I'm talking about, because any room that this guy walks into, the room just gets brighter. And we've had the opportunity to hang out a few times here and there. We're at a couple masterminds together and gone to dinner a few times, but literally one of my favorite people in the world, coming out of Morehead City, North Carolina. Jay Connor, what's going on, buddy? How you doing?
I am doing fantastic, Josh, and my lands, such nice words for you to say.
I mean, all of it, guys, but seriously, like go check out. We're going to have him talk about some of the things that he's got going on, and also obviously ways to connect with him. And we'll give him that opportunity to do that here in just a second, but got some incredible education on private money. If that's something that you are looking into, and I think Jay, and this is probably something we may talk about as well. Like, we're not going to talk about private money because you guys just go listen to his podcast and all the stuff that he's got going on, and you'll learn everything that you need to know about it. But if you're a wholesaler listening, I know a very large majority of my audience is wholesalers and people that are, literally just flipping paper and that's all they're doing. And they don't really have private money lenders in their back pocket. Guys, listen, it is vital. If we're going to see a similar repeat of what happened in 08, 09, having private money lenders in your back pocket is just going to be extremely vital. And I'm sure that's a lot of what Jay talks about on his content as well. Puts out a lot of incredible education. But today what we're going to talk about is we might skim a little bit over how to market to find private money lenders. I think we might touch on that a little bit. But guys, Jay's been in this game for a very long time, almost as long as I've been alive, Jay. But we're gonna mention that, right? So, but Jay's been in the game for a very long time, and he's been around the block and had a lot of experiences when it comes to marketing and real estate and how some of the things have changed and what are the things he's doing today, because it's a lot tighter of a market than it ever has been, Jay. I mean, even back in 08, 09, you could talk on that a little bit, but it's really hard to find deals today. So we're going to talk about what he's doing in his marketing to make sure he's finding deals. But before we get into it, Jay, do me a huge favor, introduce yourself. So who you are, what you do, talk a little bit about what you got going on. You have a book, so make sure you show that, talk about that, and then let's jump into it.
Well, speaking of the book, there it is. This is Where to Get the Money Now. It's just been out for about 8 weeks and Amazon bestseller. So I was pretty excited about that. But I'll talk about the book here in a minute. So who is Jay Connor and why am I qualified to talk about what I talk about? Well, as you said, so my wife, Carol Joy, and I, we started in this business in 2003. And primarily we stay in most of our deals. We are flippers. We're in a small market. I mean, our total market that we invest in has only got 40,000 people, only 40,000 people. And I don't do a great number of deals. We do 2 to 3 deals a month, but average profits are $67,000 per deal. In this little market. Median price right now is, well, it was $225. Since COVID, it's about $250 or $260. Yeah. But anyway, from 2003 until 2009, I relied on local banks, mortgage companies to fund our deals. And I mean, back then, Josh, I never even heard of buying subject to the existing note. I never heard of seller finance, and I for sure never heard of private money. I thought you just had to go to the bank and borrow money and, put a down payment and, do your thing. Well, that's what I did for 6 years, 2003 to 2009. And in January 2009, I picked up the phone to call my banker. I had 2 deals under contract to get funded. I'd had this conversation many times. I found out very quickly on that phone call that my lines of credit had been closed with no notice to me. Well, my definition of coincidence is God's way of staying anonymous. And so in less than, you can write that down, in less than 2 weeks, I was introduced to this world of private money and private lending that I'd never heard about. And so, so I put my program on steroids. I was able to raise a little over $2 million in private money and funding to use for my deals. So I was able to save those 2 deals. And since that time, in January 2009, I have not missed out on a deal for not having the funding. 2011, 2 years after that, I found myself bored because we just have an amazing team. Pretty much everything's running on automatic. And so that's when I started our coaching business to other real estate investors. And since I was just really good at, raising private money and a lot of it, I started working with real estate investors on how they could, do the same. So as you mentioned the book, I just released the book. And for your audience, so, you may be a wholesaler, right? So I know you got a lot of wholesalers on here, Josh. You may be a wholesaler and it's like, oh my lands, you like those $5, $10, $15,000 assignment checks, but you think, if I could stay in this deal, I could like make $70,000 or $80,000. So I just released the book, Where to Get the Money Now, subtitle, How and Where to Get Money for Your Real Estate Deals Without Relying on Traditional or Hard Money Lenders. So when I say private money, Josh, I'm not talking about hard money, institutional money. I'm talking about doing business with individuals. So for free, I am going to ask for a couple of books for shipping and delivery, but I'll save your audience $20 per book. And go to www.jayconner.com/free book, and we'll rush you a copy right out in the mail just as soon as we hear from you.
Yeah, absolutely. So guys, we'll have that link down in the description below in case you are listening to the show and you're not able to write that down. But Jay, we definitely appreciate you doing that. Guys, go get the book. No questions asked. Like, you're not going to be disappointed at all. This is something that every single real estate investor, I don't care if you're wholesaling, buy and hold, doesn't matter what it is. This is something that you absolutely need to learn and get into and be educated in. So Jay, appreciate the introduction. Let's talk about some marketing. So what are some things that you're doing today to get deals? I mean, you're marketing in a small market. I mean, compared to some of our listeners are listening in Phoenix or Southern California, Chicago, Atlanta. I mean, Tampa, these hot markets that are massive, millions of people. What are you doing nowadays in order to make sure that you're still getting deals in the pipeline for you?
Absolutely. Well, since COVID came along, we had to ramp it up even more with using multiple marketing channels. I mean, I never have relied on the multiple listing service to find deals, but you sure can't find a deal in the multiple listing service today with realtors. So one thing I'd never done until just a couple of months ago, I've always had bird dogs, field agents, people that are friends at church and, they see a FSBO sign, for sale by owner sign, or, a vacant house. They take a picture. In fact, one of my bird dogs that we go to church with, in fact, he's a detective in one of the nearby towns. So he's out in his car all the time.
All the time.
Well, he drove by, took a picture of the for sale by owner sign. And, so we bought that house just a few short months ago, bought it for it's a 850 square foot cottage. That's not even big enough to be called a house. Paid $250,000 for it. I got 30,000 in rehab. It was built in 1910. So it's a historical home 1 block away from the historical district in Beaufort. Listen to these numbers. So listen, folks, if you don't have bird dogs taking pictures of for sale by owner signs, here's like a little encouragement, right? So I bought it for $250,000, put 30,000 of rehab in it. I mean, we put the wide plank pine floors, making this house just look like it's just drop dead gorgeous. Great big thick molding, and the old historical like doorknobs, et cetera, like those glass doorknobs. Anyway, so I got 280 in it. Now, when I bought it just a few short months ago, that house, the after repaired value my realtor was telling me was around 375, which means I'm going to list it for 395, right? Well, that's not a bad deal. 250 purchase, 30 grand rehab. Going to put it in the multiple listing service for 395. No, or as a friend of mine says, nay. You know why? Because a house a block away just last week, 1,200 square feet. So it's got a bit more square feet, 2 bed, 2 bath, sold, closed, $595,000.
Holy crap. Wow.
So this baby ain't going into MLS for 395. This is going to be at least like 525 or 549. And that's from a friend that I go to church with that took a picture. I mean, I actually now feel guilty for only paying $1,000 for that picture, to tell you the truth.
I was just about to ask, what does your fee look like for if a bird dog brings you a deal that you close on? But that's what it is, right? I think that's really important. It's one of the questions I'll ask is, you know, obviously you mentioned finding, you know, friends at church or people that you know or whatever. But like, how do you find these people? Where do you, if say for instance, you don't go to church, you're not involved in a community or something like that, where you have friends that, you know, they're a little interested in real estate because they see that people are making money in it. What are some good creative ways to find bird dogs? Because I believe in this. You know, when I first jumped into it, you know, Gary Harper, when I was
Sure.
working with him 7, 8 years ago, that's what we did. Like we signed up like 40 bird dogs in every single market that we had. And we were in 5 different states, and it was one of our best lead sources. So where do you find these people at, and how do you kind of vet them and make sure that the right person, and then what does the deal structure look like? Like you said, maybe $1,000 a deal or something like that. So walk that through.
Yeah. So, you know, bandit signs still work these days. So if you're doing bandit signs, people that are hungry are going to actually call you. Right now, 40 people ain't going to call you like
Mm-hmm.
you know, went out and recruited. But one thing that I'm doing different. So, I mean, that's a great deal. That's a great story, right? But I haven't until just a couple of months ago have hired, and it sounds like you did something similar to this, hired a field agent bird dog to not just if they happen to see something when they're riding around, but that's what they do on the weekend. That's their weekend job. So just this past weekend, I got almost, no, so the past 2 weekends, excuse me. First weekend, I got 67. The last weekend, it was 30 some. So in the past 2 weeks, I've gotten right at 100 leads.
Yeah.
Now, 100 leads doesn't sound like a lot of leads when you're like doing the direct mail game, but 100 leads of what I'm getting ready to describe is a lot of leads. These 100 houses, just a little bit more than that. These 100 houses, I got 3 layers of motivation on everyone on at least half of these houses. Number one, they look distressed. Doesn't mean that they got to be boarded up, but they look distressed, right? There's the house needs some work. In addition to that, they're all vacant. They're like clearly nobody is living in these houses. And then when we did our first layer of skip tracing, just looking for on the tax records who the owners were, over half of them live out of state. Now
Mm-hmm.
you stack those motivations, vacant, distressed, lives out of state. You think we're going to get us some response, you know, to
Yeah.
those direct mail pieces. You better believe almost 25% response. Regular direct mail, you're knocking it out of the park if you get 1 out of
Yeah.
100, like 1%, 2%, right? But almost 25%. So when you're looking for those multiple layers of motivation, your responses really go up. So where did I find this field agent? Well, as I said, when you're out there, they're going to find you. So this guy came knocking on my door. Now I'm going to answer your question in a second as to where you can actually go look, right? But this guy knocked on my door. He tells me 10 supposed real estate investors in Eastern North Carolina. I'm the only cat that responded, right? The other 9 didn't even respond. He says, look, I want to be a field agent bird dog. I don't care what you call me. And I want to go around and taking pictures. And he's experienced. He did this for 3 years in California for a friend of his that was a real estate investor. And his friend that he did this for, that was their total lead source. That was their only
Wow.
marketing channel, was looking for those type houses. Well, I got to say, I thought to myself, and I'm in a small area, right? He's in the military. So God bless him for his service. He's in the military living over here in Jacksonville, North Carolina. So it's about a 45-minute drive from where he lives to right here in my market. So here's the deal I told him. I said, look, I'll pay you $10 for every picture and physical address that you email into us, right? Well, my lands, he's already made $1,000 on 2 weekends
Yeah.
from, you know, driving around, but he's very systematic about, I mean, like he takes the town map and the county map. And I'm telling you, that kid goes down every street looking, looking for this. Now, in answer to your question, where can you find these people? Well, this is no new news for you and probably no new news to your listeners, but it's a great reminder. How about all the people that are riding around all day long anyway that can be doing it for you? So there's your, your mailman, right? Your water meter reader, your, your other utility people, your FedEx driver, your UPS driver, the taxi cab driver. I don't know. Those taxi cab drivers go in some bad neighborhoods. But hey, how about your pizza? Hey, look, we got a kid that's 22 years old we go to church with, and he drives for Domino's. Well, guess where I get some of my pictures from? And I pay the same thing. I pay a straight $10 for the lead, and then a straight $1,000 for every house that I buy.
Yeah. And obviously contractors is a good one that, if you have contractors that are actually doing, a high volume of projects for you, or even any capacity of volume of projects, just, have them, like, that's an extra income stream for them. They may be working on a house next door to, a good lead. Why not
Hey, look,
send that
hey,
your way?
I just bought a house a couple of months ago. You know where that picture came from? From the guy that cuts all my grass at all my houses.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
he's full time. He's out on the road every day cutting grass, right?
Yeah.
In fact, he just sent me another one this morning that I don't know how my other guy missed it, but anyway, it's definitely distressed, definitely vacant. So, and that's the criteria that I give to all my people that are driving around.
Yeah. And this is something that I think a lot of people miss out on too, because, here's the thing. Now, most of the time, you're going to find that maybe some of these houses are getting, direct mail sent to them already. They're already getting text blasted, that lead is. But a lot of these deals, Jay, they're off-market deals. They're not listed anywhere. People don't have the records to actually skip trace and then, market to them. Hit on that.
That's another very, very important point. I tell my field agents, I said, look, don't send me a picture and there's a realtor sign in the front yard. That don't get $10, right? And it sure ain't gonna get 1,000 because I know I'm not buying it, right?
Yeah.
So that's part of the criteria as well as don't send me any listed houses with realtor signs.
Absolutely. And I think that, a lot of people like hate this strategy because it's not as easy to do as clicking a button with text messaging or having somebody on their team RVM or send a direct mail campaign or whatever. Like, you actually have to go into the market. But guys, listen, this is where, recruiting is highly important. You delegate this kind of marketing, but this is super scalable because, like I mentioned before Jay started getting into this, and Jay was talking about all these different ways that you can find people. Anybody that's driving on a consistent basis. Pizza delivery guys, like, most of them are 20-something-year-olds, teenagers. Give them give them some extra income for this. That is a piece of cake, especially in today's, like, where we're at today. Everybody's getting delivery food and that kind of thing. The demand is higher than ever. So
yeah,
that's
and of course,
no-brainer.
remember your Uber drivers and your Lyft drivers for sure.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, for sure. And so I think that this is a very underrated form of marketing that a lot of people don't do just because it requires somebody to do it. But it is scalable, guys, because you can literally have an army of bird dogs out there working for you that are bringing you deals. And hey, as long as what I would say, and I think this is something that Jay, you probably end up doing, is making sure that they're trained right. You mentioned, you didn't really talk about it much, but you skimmed over, you said, don't send me any pictures with a realtor sign in the yard, right? Like, I don't want to see those kind of deals. But you're training them to bring you deals and leads. Now, here's the last thing that I want to wrap up with, right? Because Jay, we gotta wrap it up, man. We got 5 minutes and we're already over time, but we've been hitting so many good things here. So the last thing that I would have is, now in terms of, kind of staying in marketing, but pulling out of it a little bit, the question I would always have from people is, well, aren't I training my competition? Aren't I training people to compete with me? Because then they can find the deals and then figure out how to wholesale and then just keep them for themselves. So what is your answer to that?
Yeah. So I think it comes back to the real estate that's in between your ears, right? What I mean by that is your mindset. Is your general mindset a mindset of abundance? Or is your mindset of, not you, but you in general, or is it a scarcity mindset? So if you got a fear of like training your future competition, then I'm of the mindset there's plenty to go around. I'm not worried about it. And plus, if I train somebody, as you train somebody to do this piece of the business, there's a lot more pieces to the business. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, getting good at finding a potential prospect to buy. I mean, we know at the end of the day that most deals are done. Somebody's got to come up with the money. If you're wholesaling, you got your buyers list of cash buyers, real estate investors that's going to take that deal down, right? So somebody's got to come up with the money. If you're going to stay in the deal, you're probably going to use private money, right? So I trained somebody on how to get, that prospect or sniff out, a property that looks like a good potential. But if they want to go learn the rest of the business, then I'm not going to hold anybody back. But again, that's just one little slice.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. I don't want to hit on that anymore because that is completely, that's just a question I hear a lot. And it's something that I think that's just a cop out. So at the end of the day, I still think that bird dogging, I was doing it 7-8 years ago. I actually tried it myself, tested it myself. I went driving for dollars, and then I hired a bunch of people under me, and then they went and found their little buddies and started, recruiting and that kind of thing. And that was one of our biggest lead sources. And I think that that's a really, really good way to do it. In fact, one of my close friends is wanting to get into real estate. And he said, what's the best way for me to get into real estate? And I told him, hey, what I would do is just go driving, looking through neighborhoods, but then latch on to a wholesaler in a market. So I connected him with a wholesaler in a market and had that relationship built. And I said, wholesaler, can you train my friend here to go driving for dollars and bring you deals? And so just literally anybody that comes up and just says, hey, I'm interested in making a little extra cash. And everybody nowadays will kind of wants to work on their own time, right? Like in this whole COVID era, people are working from home. There's a lot of driving, like you said, Uber and Lyft and Instacart and all that kind of stuff. I mean, just recruit those people. And man, that is just easy money for you. $1,000 for a six-figure spread.
I know,
come on.
who wouldn't pay $1,000 in exchange for $250,000?
Man, I'm telling you. So guys, this is a foolproof system. Like, it works. This kind of marketing strategy works. And this is something that, Jay, I don't think a lot of people are talking about right now. But it's been around for so long, drive your neighborhoods.
Well, and what I love about it, of course, what they called it 30 years ago was guerrilla marketing. What I love about it is I'm not paying out any money until I got results, right? So I'm not paying an hourly rate. I'm not paying money to, social media, Facebook or whoever, and praying that I get a good cost per lead or whatever. However, I do that. I do a lot. We didn't have time to talk about it, but I do a ton of Facebook ads. But what I love about this strategy is I'm not paying out even $10 until I've got a prospect, and I'm not paying out $1,000 until I know I'm making money. So, it's like you're paying for results.
Yeah, that's an incredible way to put it. So guys, this is, and here's the beautiful thing, like what you just said, Jay, it's not like you got to pay for the mail campaign and then go out and then cross your fingers, hope you get, leads and then close a deal. Like, you don't have to have money to do this marketing. You don't have to have money to do this kind of marketing, guys. You pay the person, you pay the employee when they get the results. And that's exactly what he just said. So I think that's a really good way for, somebody starting in real estate as well. If you're just trying to get more bang for your buck, like, do this and you're off to the races. Jay, this has been absolutely incredible. You've dropped so much value here. And I want to give you the opportunity one more time to let people know how to connect with you. If you just want to send them to the book funnel, then that's totally fine. But you have a lot of things going on in terms of education about private money and that kind of thing. So I assume that the book is one of the best ways to actually learn about what you have going on. But we'll have everything linked in the description below, guys, in order to connect with Jay. But for one more time, Jay, talk about the book one more time and then where people can get it. Sure. And then we'll wrap up here.
Yeah, the book is on private money, where to get the money now. This walks you through the exact steps that I used when I started to get over $2 million in less than 90 days. And I'm glad to ship the book right out to you. The book is free, a couple of bucks for shipping and handling and delivery. You can get it at www.jayconner.com/free book.
Awesome. And guys, we will have that link down in the description below. Make sure you do go grab that book. It's a free book. Guys, come on. It's no brainer. Just go get it. Jay, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for being on. And I look forward to having you back again soon, my friend.
All right. Thanks, Josh. Talk to you soon.
All right, guys, that is going to do it for today's episode. Thank you so much for joining us and listening in today. If you haven't already, now is the time to subscribe to the show. If you haven't already, and then if you haven't already as well, make sure you do rate this show, the REI Marketing Weekly. If you're on Apple Podcasts, now it's time to head over to the homepage of the show, leave a 5-star review with your feedback. I would much appreciate that. And then not to give you more education, but we also have a book as well, the REI Marketing book. So I wish I had it in front of me. There's a box of about 300 of them over here. But I've got this book. So it is officially gone out. And actually in the recording weekend of when we're recording this episode specifically, this entire week, I'm just getting emails of people getting the books delivered and just like raving about it. So make sure you go pick that up. It is a free plus shipping offer as well. reimarketingbook.com is where you can go snag that. Guys, thank you so much for listening today. And we will catch you on the next one. See you later.